On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, we're back after Labor Day, and we're talking about local events.
And we do it while dancing.
Dancing and singing. We talk about the school and the capacity, like Kevin teased on the end of the last episode. We talk about Union Water's statement that they issued post the low-pressure event. And we round it out with a healthy conversation about the Main Street developments. Stay tuned. It's about an hour episode, folks. I know. Buckle in. You're in for it.
Sorry.
On this episode.
Clean your house.
Yeah. Throw it on Alexa. Get Alexa. Hey, Alexa, play That Kingsville Podcast.
That way it would be.
They would be. Maybe they have Google Home. I don't know. Stay tuned for this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. Road trip! You awake now? Do you want to win a road trip for you and a guest to Dallas, Texas? 2 nights, October 25th and 26th, return airfare, hotel, and some great food, and of course, some great Kingsville beer to drink. To enter, and full contest rules, go to kingsvillebrewery.com/contest to be sure to share with your friends and sign up for the newsletter. Contest is not endorsed or sponsored by That Kingsville Podcast, but promoted by. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast.
Love road trips.
Road trip! Think of Marty. Marty's down in Texas. We'll probably get to hang with Mr. Turco.
Ooh.
Hockey legend.
Yeah.
University of Michigan hockey legend.
Winningest goalie in NCAA history.
127. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Hunt. And again, Kevin Black, Steve Ianson. Back again. We are back again, gentlemen. School in full effect September. We are at the end of September now. Where the heck did the time go? It is, Steve. It's the 20th. By the time this gets out, it'll be the 22nd.
I didn't say anything.
It was just, it's a matter of like, hey, we were right there before or at Labor Day, and, you know, hey, celebration. We had a nice little barbecue. We all got the families together, and I haven't tweeted out that photo because I just remembered about it tonight.
Oh, me too.
I am terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I am terrible. Yeah.
Summer does officially end on Saturday.
So now my statement is officially, you know, legitimate.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think September's kind of been not dragged, but I feel like it felt normal speed. Not like the summer. The summer was like June 15th, and then it was September 1st. The September 1st, September 20th, it's kind of feels about right.
Dragged a bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not dragged. It's like, it feels right. It feels normal.
No, not me.
No, you're saying no?
All
right.
Lightning bolt, like Labor Day to today. Like, just so much going on.
Yeah, it's been nuts. Like, just everyone's involved in an incredible amount of stuff.
All right,
Yeah.
kids
like,
go.
it's good, but wow.
Yeah, kids go back to school.
Yeah.
Extracurriculars start. You know, certain other like part-time jobs and things like that kind of get back going if it's babysitting after school, right? Like, you know, people get back into the work form, right? You know, teaching and whatnot. And,
I got asked to coach again.
Did you?
Boys.
Oh, yeah. And you got all that extra time, Steve.
No, well, yeah, it is actually a work. I will say it's a little bit slower for me right now. So,
yeah.
But I wasn't anticipating it, and then I got asked to do it. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a whirl.
Senior boys?
Well, no, it's grade school.
Oh, at the grade school?
Yeah. So it's
Is Kellen playing?
he is. He's on the team. There's a few obviously that you kind of bit part players, support players, character players. But there's a lot of talent in that group. Mm-hmm. They won their first 2 games, so we'll see.
Oh, well, you know, my daughter's playing on the girls' team, and they missed their coach.
Oh.
What? No, that's it. I wasn't.
I'm kidding.
I had a busy weekend. I was hanging out with the horses.
You were
at the fairgrounds for the RCMP musical ride.
Well, and why didn't it musically ride into Kingsville?
You know what? That's you should have a discussion with whoever it was that decided to
events planner
last time.
Well, they've been here before.
Yeah.
Maybe
So they book them out 2 years in advance. So they're actually working on the schedule, like whatever 2025 would be. This year's the 150th of the RCMP musical ride.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe a little bit of Monty pressure. And
Kevin, for those listeners, all 18 of them who aren't familiar with what the musical ride is it as I envision, like the Budweiser horses and the music in the commercial, and then they're pulling the stuff? No,
that's horse pulls. which are awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're humane.
Are they
so maybe
Clydesdales?
I should maybe they're not awesome. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say that on horse pulls.
Oh, jeez.
No, the RCMP musical ride. So they're specific horses they're all bred on one farm in Ontario, and they do coordinated riding. But the whole point is that the mounted police were mounted at one point, like they were cavalry, so it's like harkening back to their cavalry days of the RCMP. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
And they do maneuvers to music.
They did maneuvers to music, and it's all Canadian music, and it was current.
Oh,
Like
was
it was
it?
current music. Yeah, it was cool.
Like Drake?
There was some Weekend.
The Weekend. Oh,
The Weeknd.
I was like, wait a minute. Oh, The Weekend. Oh,
The
yeah.
Weeknd.
Yes, I
Well,
forgot
he's
he's
not
Canadian.
the Weekend anymore.
What is he? No, he goes by his real
Abel
name.
Tesfaye.
Say that.
Is that-
sometimes fast.
Is that his real name?
Abel
He
Tesfaye.
doesn't go by The Weekend anymore.
I heard
I'm
he was
so-
trying to kind of
Not be the weekend.
yeah.
He wants to be the weekday,
He just wants to be all week.
like the full week.
Leap year.
My kids loved it though.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had a blast.
taking it in. Yeah, there's been some open streets up in Windsor. There's been some Mill Street markets in Leamington.
Yeah.
So you're just because some of the Kingsville programming's over with. It's Migration Fest is coming up here really quickly. We've got other things to look forward to.
Isn't the tugboat coming back?
Yes, Theodore too. The tugboat.
Toot.
He's in town this weekend at the harbor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so go look at a boat with eyes
Yeah.
and a face. I don't know. I had girls.
That's
girls.
amazing.
I have no
That's
idea
pretty
who
much it.
Theodore Teddy Tugboat is.
I don't think you're allowed to go on Theodore though, right?
Again, had girls.
I don't know. I'm not
Like
sure.
it was dragging them on those tall ships when we had them a few years ago, right? Like girls not interested in the boats. Like, do we have to go on the big boat? Yes, you got to go on the big boat because where else are you going to go on a big boat?
Yeah, it's cool.
Boys are probably more interested in Theodore Tugboat, but yeah, check that out this
Sebastian
weekend.
didn't care about the big boats either.
I tell you, I don't know, but the man can do an inverted push-up, so leave him alone. All right.
Good point.
Other community news coming up. Tickets still available. An evening of amazing food by local chefs being held at the Remarkable is a bit of a stretch. Grovedale Arts and Cultural Center in Kingsville, October 14th, 2023. The Star Chefs Gala, Taste of Kingsville, presented by the Lions Club of Kingsville. The proceeds going to Erie Shores Health Foundation. Entertainment by Dan Woods and Bob Gabriel, and Lights Sound Action Entertainment Services. So tickets $150 per person, $1,000 for a table of 8. Evening of amazing food by local chefs, entertainment, dancing, silent and live auctions. And speaking as a veteran of this event, last year's auction kind of went a little bit sideways, but the host kind of helped figure it out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Kevin. So, yeah, if you're interested, again, you can find it on Kingsville, Ontario's Facebook page or whatnot. But
That's an interesting choice of description. And I'm going to aside. I'm going there.
knock yourself out.
No, but we have a lot of fantastic facilities, and I've never heard of any facility in town given such plaudits, which means one of two things. Either we are completely in the dark and this thing is remarkable, or simply they're really trying to convince everyone that despite all the criticism,
I would say that.
Despite the peeling of the stucco.
The water.
I'm not.
the water
I'm just
stained
saying.
Rooftops.
Okay. Yeah.
That that they're really trying hard. So
Hey,
It's probably more markable.
The event is more so the important part, right? It's a great fundraiser.
That's why I waited till the end. I wanted,
Speaking
I don't want to take away from the event. It
No,
was just the
don't.
word kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
caught me off guard.
they gotta jazz it up.
Where
right?
else
They
are you
gotta
going to go?
Yeah, it's a gala. Right?
I would
gala.
put remarkable in front of the event.
It's a gala. Yes,
The remarkable Star Chef Gala
Oh, more fundraising, scouting, since we had
at the slightly ho-hum Grovedale.
the occasion.
Wow.
Second Kingsville Scouting fundraiser, Holiday Planter and Holiday Wreath, includes an assortment of fresh evergreens, beautiful mesh bow, and assorted cones with your choice of bow color, $35 each. Order forms and yeah, it's stuff. So look up Kingsville Scouting with those email address? She didn't give me the email address. Sorry, Bev. I messed this up royally.
Look them up on Facebook.
Yeah, look them up on Facebook. And also, they're still looking for sponsors and funding for the Jamboree for next year. So, again, Kingsville Second Scouting, support your local organizations as they support our community.
Yeah.
Kevin, you had a big announcement from the hospital.
Oh, yeah. So just because I feel it's important that people understand, I'm clearly not unbiased. I'm biased. I'm clearly biased. I work at Erie Shores Healthcare as their PR person.
You're declaring your pecuniary interest.
There's a pecuniary interest here. But we announced a week ago the introduction of chemotherapy and immunotherapy services at the hospital, which is, for Erie Shores, it's a big deal. It allows up to 300 patients locally to be able to get their treatment right in their own community instead of having to drive to Windsor or Chatham.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. That honestly, and when somebody has to use those facilities, I think something that's more close to home makes a bad situation a little bit easier if you don't have to go way out of your way in order to receive the treatment that you need.
Well, and one of our patients that was on hand when we were making the announcement, he's from Kingsville resident, and he was saying he goes, in the morning to get his treatment. He's there for 4 hours to get treatment, and then in the afternoon he goes golfing at Kingsville Golf. And you're
really selling it,
So it's good from if you're going to need treatment. It's handy, and so anyone listening, if you are in a situation or your family's in a situation where they may need chemotherapy or immunotherapy, talk to your oncologist. And make sure that Erie Shores might be a viable option for you. It's only specific therapies, so not everyone's able to get treatment there.
But they're in our community, which is great. Not hopefully not having to take advantage of those services,
right?
But
it's one of those things that's good to know it's there, right?
Exactly, and that just shows the further kind of investment and development in our local medical facilities and whatnot. But about facilities, we kind of teased. We teased something about a new facility in our town last episode. So, we should probably kind of discuss the new K-12 school a little bit more. So
try and educate the public.
And educate the public, right? And we're just the three guys. These are our opinions. This is our perspective. We have reached out to some individuals to try and get comment. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to connect yet. So,
still hopeful. Invitations are open for any time. If someone with the school board wants to come on and have a discussion about the school, but we've been trying to get some rumors that are obviously swirling around the community because we hear it in almost every other conversation.
Yeah. And I don't want us to perpetuate some of those rumors,
right?
Because that can be very damaging if those are completely false.
Absolutely.
We don't want to perpetuate bad sentiment and make matters worse. However, the severity of what some of these things that are being discussed warrant clarity, verification, and further insight and further conversation. And Kevin, touching on the point that you made at the end of the last episode about how many surplus seats we have in the plan for the elementary school and the high school.
Right. So part of the tricky point is that the school board makes available the plan or the options as it was approved for the new school. So, and that included capacity. So we know, according to the school board's numbers, that the capacity for the new school will be just over 1,000 elementary students and a little over 700 high school students. That we know. That's fact. Enrollment numbers don't get released by the school board publicly on their website. They are, if you work in a school, you might know those enrollment numbers currently. But the general public doesn't have those current enrollment numbers available to them. And we've reached out to officials to try and get some clarity. We haven't heard back. So we are forced to go off of the Ministry of Education posted enrollment data set, which the most recent version of that data set, which was uploaded in the spring of this year. And it's the 2021-22 school year. So that's the best that we can do with public information that's available. So, and that coincidentally is also the time period where the school was being debated and approved.
And tendered.
So it's the point where the school board knew at the time what their current enrollment was, and we're making decisions on the size of what the high school would look, or not high school, what the K-12 school would look like. So we know for a fact that during those discussions, they were approving a school that was going to have a grand total of 78 additional seats in the elementary side and 70 additional seats in the high school side.
Or vice versa, or whatever.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, right.
And so when you look at that, it makes you think, well, they basically built a school for the capacity of what it was in 21-22 with almost no ability to expand that if there's any population influx in Kingsville, which is not reality.
As we know, we've already greenlit enough population in 6-story buildings in the immediate vicinity of the current high school.
Right.
So there's bound to be a few high school students there. There's bound to be people that move to Harrow who need to attend a high school and aren't going to go to North Star in Amherstburg.
Generally, if they're looking for a public, it would be Kingsville. Their catchment area would be Kingsville, unless they were willing to drive their child there. And for Catholic, it's Villanova, or potentially Cardinal Carter,
right?
Or Essex.
But we have a larger catchment area than just the downtown of Kingsville, where all the development's happening.
Yes,
there's development outside of our visible town.
Yeah, like Harrow, where there's construction happening.
Lots.
That would be caught in this new high school.
Ruthven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cottam?
No, I think Cottam is Essex.
Cottam is Essex.
I'm just...
No, I don't know. I'm not local, man.
I tossed in a Cottam an opportunity. Nobody cares. Anyway. Yes, no, that is Essex catchment.
See, I don't even know where they go to school. Nobody cares.
It is. It's Essex. It's Essex. Actually, there is opportunity, I believe, depending on where you are, that you may be able to get a bus. I believe there is one area.
Well, it depends on the French too, I believe.
Correct. But I am speaking completely out of turn because everybody that I know that is in Cottam, their kids go to Essex.
Well, and that's the other part of it too. How many people maybe don't like the older school that KPS is and decided not to take French at KPS because of that, and then that program could expand. Mm-hmm. So there's a number of different ways to look at how that population could expand. Now, again, the school board would argue, I think, we don't know because we haven't been able to get them on, that the province was actually approving 2016 numbers.
Correct.
And so when it was approved to actually start construction, they were worried about it being the other side. And the province came forward and said, okay, here's the extra money so you can pay to build the school that you're saying that you need. They probably needed more money and needed to say they needed a bigger school.
Mm-hmm. Like, hey, let's not invest 70 million? 70?
I think so.
56. I thought it was 56 and we're pushing 70 now.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
50, I want to say it was in the 50s initially, but...
Regardless, $50 million is not chump change when we're talking about education facilities. And if it means another 10 to facilitate the growth that's projected in town in order to future-proof it instead of having to resort to either A, retaining a school that was originally deemed surplus or going to be scheduled to be deemed surplus, which as we've understood, all three are in dire need of repair. You know, Kingsville Public and Kingsville High School have just had the bare root maintenance done in order to keep the doors open for the time being, with the knowledge that an investment in those buildings is wasted money because of the new school that's being built. And Jack Minor's been its own separate entity for as long as it's been a school. It's got its own set of issues. It's got its own set of complications just based on location. So now do we, as the Board of Education, have to say, well, kind of got to keep one of those open because we can't facilitate the population in the new school.
I don't see that happening.
So what do we do? Portables? Like every other new K-12 that's, and again, Dave's opinion, not real facts, just what I've understood. Most of the new super schools that have been built in the area over the last decade or two have opened with additional portables necessary at the time of open.
Well, Tecumseh Vista required an addition 2 years after it opened.
So if I'm seeing that we've built schools in this area and we understand what the population is at the time that we calculate it versus what it actually is when we build it, why is that calculation still getting done without the right margin of error and or added excess number? Why are we still calculating it on bad data?
Money.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
Imagine. Well, and also why, like, the municipality is the driver of new development. No one has a better handle on future development than a municipality. And when these discussions come up, it ends up not just the school board, and they're the ones in this specific situation, but it's common where the growth numbers that a municipality may put forward are basically ignored, and they look at what StatsCan might say. And StatsCan rear view look at what future growth is going to be is not always a good testament of what real growth will be, because it doesn't take into account major subdivision changes. It doesn't take into account local housing markets. It doesn't take into account any economic development work that might be happening.
Yep. Nothing.
So
redevelopment of lands that were previously unavailable for development, blah, blah, blah.
What it boils down to is if that school opens with portables, it's to the town of Kingsville and Harrow area, it's an avoidable it was an avoidable problem that could have been fixed potentially, or been upfront with the communities during the conversations like now, and right setting what the expectations are going to be, and it's a shame. Like, the communities deserve better.
I can't remember where I read or heard it, but it was something to the effect of the province has actually realized that a K-12 school is not the ideal way, and they're actually trying to get away from that model now. Like, so here we are stuck in this thing, and let's be honest. Like, I mean,
not the government realizing what they've done after
the user groups were asked for input on the schools. Ideas and everything like that, and a lot of it was just kind of like, yep, okay, thanks for coming out, we're going to stick with the plan. There's concern that the hallways, when all the lockers are open, there's no space to actually walk down the hall. Mm-hmm. So if you and I are stood back to back, we're basically stood back to back, and Kevin's not getting through.
Wow. Kevin's not that cool.
So
you shouldn't be going down our hallway.
No,
in the first place, Steve.
True. However,
I'd be in the locker.
I mean, you can make the case that they're making the use of the best space available in one sense. Because, I mean, those lockers, what's it, like 10 minutes a day? They're actually going to be, right?
Okay, fire alarm.
Yeah.
Everybody out.
Egress, just normal egress.
Right.
Safety.
Yeah, but a fire alarm, you're all going to just turn and go.
And trample. Anyway, I'm being facetious and whatever.
That's fair, and I'm trying to just provide the counterpoint. But and I part of me hopes that, and that, you know, that we've just got this all wrong, in the hope that someone from the school board will come on and say, no, this is
I hope.
how it is.
Yeah, you guys are. Tell us, you guys are stupid.
Yeah, I hope.
You're out to lunch.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Not the first time we've been called morons and or, buffoons, right?
Yeah.
Not the first time.
And that's okay.
I'll own it.
Look,
I will own it.
We're putting ourselves in a position for criticism, and that's fair.
And do you know what the lack of that communication, lack of that information is what breeds this type of discussion,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and rumors, and then,
right.
and it's
So do you want us to continue to speculate and other people will take it to different extremes, or do you want to kind of let's have the conversation, let's discover what the reality is and understand so that we can prepare for it rather than day one. We're less than a year before it's supposed to open, right?
Like, do you start running the extra electrical for the portables now?
Right.
Like, is that do you prep for that now?
Well, there wasn't much playground. Maybe, that tarmac that was going to get laid outside of the school, that's just where the portables are going to go.
Maybe that's why they haven't announced if they're going to have a track or a field yet, because that's going to be the portable farm.
Yeah, there's no track. There's no nothing. There's a parking lot and there's not even a cafeteria.
Well, there was room for a track.
Yeah.
There won't be now.
There won't
potentially.
Be. We at KPS, the kids had all the equipment taken out, and the sentiment was we weren't going to invest in equipment in the playground because the school was going to
5 years ago.
5 years ago, exactly. And I don't know if even there's a remote place in the new school site plan where there was an allocated area for playground equipment. I don't recall it.
No, and then you hear all this, and I get it. All the educational. Play is important. Play is this. Play is that. Well, here you go. Here's okay. So we didn't get a huge rain, but when KPS gets a huge rain, they have whatever they call it, the playground lake or whatever.
Yeah, oh boy. And on the segueing, because we can beat that topic to death, but until we get anybody from the school board, it's all speculation. It's all just dialogue. It's this, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but we're there. We're within a year, and we see the building, and it's getting done. And what does that mean?
I keep looking for the bank of plugins. Like, where are they going to plug the portable in there?
It's going to be an extension cord.
Yeah, a bunch of extension cords ready.
So there was a press release. Last episode, we discussed with Mayor Dennis Rogers about the flooding that happened August 24th, 25th in town. Union Water Supply System issued a presser. I will read a little bit of that now in case you haven't found it, but it is available on the Union. I think it's uwss.ca is their website, but yeah, the press release is there. Update on August 24th, 2023, Town of Kingsville low water pressure event. At approximately 11:10 p.m. on August 23rd, operations staff at the Union Water Supply System Ruthven Water Treatment Plant noted a power interruption due to a passing thunderstorm that resulted in loss of communication between the master computer controls at the treatment plant and the off-site water system components, including the 4 UWSS water towers. At the time of the loss of communications, operations staff followed a standard operating protocol and recorded the water levels within the water towers. The water level within the Kingsville water tower was recorded at approximately 85% of maximum operating level at that time. At approximately 4:10 a.m. on August 24, 2023, operations staff, so we're talking 5 hours. 5 hours. Operations staff at the RWTP treatment plant received calls of residents near downtown Kingsville indicated they had no water pressure. Maintenance staff were dispatched to the Kingsville Water Tower to investigate the situation. Noted that the Kingsville Water Tower was empty and low water pressure was noted for the portion of the Kingsville Water distribution system that was supplied to the Kingsville Water Tower. The control valve for the Kingsville Water Tower was manually switched to allow our TWP system to directly supply the affected distribution system. Due to low pressure observed, our RWTP operations staff consulted with the town of Kingsville and Windsor-Essex County Health Unit staff. Precautionary boil water advisory was initiated. And then it got lifted the day after. Further investigation in the unexpected drainage of the Kingsville Water Tower and associated loss of water pressure in the early morning of August 24th indicates water-driven sump pumps in residents within the affected area were likely a major contributor to the draining of the Kingsville Water Tower. In the 5 hours, we couldn't restore communications to replenish the water within the water tower.
Why is it only that water tower?
Why is it only that water tower? You want to tell me that the last time that we lost power and we lost communications, we've had that many more water-driven sump pump backups installed in this town? Something doesn't sound right.
No.
I don't buy it. Something else happened. That's me. That's Dave Hunt. Not these guys. I'm just frustrated because, yeah, 5 hours drains the entire water tower. The entire water tower.
What about the usages on a water backup?
I was just going to ask that question. We've lost power so often. We lost it in July during the tornado / downburst days for an extended period of time. What was the utilization drain rate for the water tower during that period? What was the increase in utilization? It had sustained pumping ability to refill the water tower. You would know exactly how much was used. I would compare 100% of that data towards what happened end of August.
You would think if they knew this was a risk, they wouldn't allow water-driven sump pumps.
Yeah, but then, how else are people supposed to rely on making sure that...
No, but...
Oh, they don't care. They charge for it. You pay for your water. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. That just ups your usage. We'll see it on the bill at the end of 3 months.
Right, but you'd think if there was a risk, they're not stupid. They're aware of any risk when it comes to infrastructure, especially when it comes to water systems and water towers. They're going to be aware of. Like this, it's not like all of a sudden, what we didn't see this coming, all these water...
Some backups.
Yeah.
And that's the other end of the thing. It's not like these were all just installed. This has been going on. We've had ours for 3 years. They're not a new invention. If there's that much of a risk of draining the entire, like the town proper, how many houses do you think feed off of Union Water's Kingsville Water Tower proper? 8,000?
I wouldn't even
10,000? Let's use 10,000.
Sure.
Let's use a very extreme 10% of the 10,000 have a water-driven backup.
I wouldn't even say 10,000 seems high. Well, if let's say there's an average of 3 people per home, there's 24,000 people in Kingsville, like as a
baseline.
And that water tower services, maybe 16,000 people.
Okay, but
so maybe
homes.
6,000 homes.
Okay, so 10% of that's 500 homes.
So the average, according to this, the average some water sump pump would use 1,300 or would remove 1,324 gallons of water per hour if it's running constantly. It removes at a rate of 2 to 1. So it would use 1 gallon to remove 2 gallons. So that means it would use 662 gallons of water on average per hour. So that would be 3,310 gallons of water over a 5-hour span for a home. So do we know what the capacity of the Kingsville Water Tower would be?
Oh, and
does it say? So let's check that out. So Kingsville...
We need like a musical interlude at this moment.
Tower capacity.
Sorry to cut you off.
I am sorry.
So they finish off the presser talking about the boil water, and then they say a loss of water pressure within a portion of the drinking water system is a common occurrence and be caused by a number of issues, including water main breaks, pump failures, valve issues, etc. These events cannot be predicted or controlled. As such, UWSS cannot guarantee there will, and they underline this part, they cannot guarantee there will always be an adequate supply of water or adequate water pressure within the drinking water system to ensure functionality of water-powered backup sump pumps. I'm just...
Okay.
That was too much work. Sorry, I blew into the microphone. I apologize, everyone listening on headphones, all 3 of you. I apologize. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because that's not, in my opinion... Unless there was catastrophic damage between the controls from Ruthven to the water towers, preventing them. And if they didn't have that, they had 5 hours to go, hey, we should probably go to the water tower and flick the switch on, right? Because, it's not feeding to replenish the tower.
So what happens now with all these new homes? Are they going to be allowed water-powered
bingo
sump pumps?
Or what's the demand going to be? Like, if we're going to add a subdivision on the west side of town, that's 600 homes, if I remember correctly, and then another one with a couple hundred. We've got some going up on Jasperson, and we've got 11 billion 6-story towers, which we'll talk about, all adding to our existing infrastructure, because there is no talk of an additional water tower to sustain pressure. So if in 5 hours, we drained a water tower due to water main backups or sump pump water powered backups. I'm sorry. is it going to drain in an hour? Like, are they not going to all get installed with water-powered sump backups now?
And how's this never happened?
That's
like, how's it never happened? How is there no listing of what the capacity of the Kingsville water tower is? It's not listed anywhere.
I want to say back when the refurbishment was, like when they redid the livery and the facade, I think there was numbers, and I'm not even going to throw a number out there.
No, I'm trying to find it, but I'm not having a whole lot of luck here. Their peak water treatment plant production is 21 million imperial gallons per day.
That seems low.
Water treatment plant. No, still not there. Like the reality, I'm really, and you know what, I'm gonna dig into this, and maybe we'll post it on our Facebook page, because I'm very interested in finding out how many homes would it have taken to have a water powered backup running off the Kingsville water tower, if that is indeed what it was, because there's no what else could possibly be running other than water-powered backups of 4 a.m. other than, major greenhouse agricultural water systems.
It's that would, during the hours of 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., nobody, there was no power, so nobody's watering their grass.
No. It boils down to, it's either, if that is indeed what happened, and all of a sudden, just the town decided to use an immense amount of water to drain the tower, which may be, then how many homes did it take? So if the average home with a water backup that ran nonstop used roughly 34, let's call it on the low side, 3,300 gallons of water, then how many homes would it have taken, right?
From a quick search, it's anywhere from 500,000 gallons to 1 million gallons of water in a water tower.
So let's put it in the middle.
So what were you saying, 3,300 an hour?
Yeah, call it 3,300.
So 3,300 times 5 hours.
No, it's 3,300 is the 5 hours.
Oh, it's the 5 hours? Oh, yeah. Perfect. So 3,300, 151.
So 151 water-powered backups running constantly.
At a 500,000 gallon capacity water tower. If that is, in fact, what it is.
Okay, so now that doesn't seem as crazy, right? That's when you have to start. That's why you want to start putting it into pulling the numbers out. Because now, there could definitely be 150.
Right, and if it's a million gallon capacity, then that's 300 houses, which I believe.
I don't know how it may differ in size, but a new water tower that Shelburne was putting in is 3,400 cubic meters of water storage.
So it's that in gallons. Then we got to convert it.
But yeah, if that's the numbers and that's what the flow rate is of the pump, and we didn't have any, it would be bone dry by 4 a.m.
Yeah, there you are.
So,
all right. So first, let's take everything we said.
No, but my statement still stands as why, if we were aware that this was a condition, we lost control between the tower and the treatment plant, did we not go, hey, we got an override valve at the we should probably go check that out, because the last time that my Windows 98 booted up, I couldn't, get back connection to the tower. And hey, water-driven backups are a thing, and I'm so 900,000 gallons, so about 1 million gallons. Okay, well, so about 300 homes.
So about 300 homes.
Drained it. Way to go, 300 homes. I'm sorry.
So don't install those.
Sorry, I'm one of them. Sorry.
Who knew? I was looking at one.
Yeah. Well, I
hey, the first night I started strongly researching water powered backups, because my battery powered backup couldn't keep up to the water as it was coming in, and then I started to realize, oh wait, if my
water battery either.
Yeah, but if my battery isn't keeping up, then
water won't either. But again, these are factors that are not unknown. It's been a trend in the area.
Yeah.
Why was the protocol that the Union water system depicts didn't have anybody monitoring the towers. If we've lost control, we know that people have water-driven backups. We know that the flow rate of them is 3,300 gallons over 5 hours, and it only holds 1 million gallons. And if 300 homes have it, that sucker's going to be empty. Why didn't we go out to the tower right away and go, let's turn the switch? If we really did lose communication,
Yeah.
So that was an unfortunate oversight, which I hope that they've revised protocol and send somebody out on site immediately in order to continually.
You know what would have helped that issue though? Power.
Hey, and on that, I think a very recent episode or upcoming episode will crack into the ELK Hydro one top to bottom.
Were you guys home today? I saw there was an outage in Kingsville again today.
Yeah, wasn't our area. But
Was
can
that
you imagine
weather?
all those homes out east that must have lost their power in the recent weather?
They didn't. Thanks, Steve, for reminding me. Guess what? They had a hurricane. My friends in Moncton that had a hurricane go through there. Did they lose power?
I would assume so.
No.
What?
In a hurricane. In Moncton, the eye of the storm went over their city. And these people, these friends of mine, live on a hill. It's not like they're in a valley and protected by a whole bunch of surrounding nature. No, they live on the top of Magnetic Hill. By the way, if you've never been to Magnetic Hill in Moncton, it's truly a wonder of the world. It is. You roll uphill. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But they didn't lose power in a hurricane. The coastal areas, 100%, because they had to endure like 140 kilometer an hour sustained winds for, hours. But Moncton had the direct line, and they didn't.
We get nervous on sunny days about losing our power.
Well, it was today we lost power and it was sunny. Like it didn't rain.
It wasn't windy.
It was
It was a perfect day.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Too nice, apparently.
Yeah.
What else we got, Dave?
There was there's a council meeting about development on Main Street South.
Well, that
South
sounds
Main Street.
bi-weekly.
Yeah. Are they what's the
More 6-story buildings.
recommendation though is like to put them around the current 6-story buildings, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No,
No,
it's actually not.
No, it's really far away.
No, it's actually
It's on the Greenway.
yeah, it's like
It's at the south end of the development.
why would you want to have 6-story buildings where you're currently approving all the 6-story buildings? No, you're going to now, after you've already approved all the 6-story buildings, say, nope, in this area where we just approved a 6-story building, you're only now going to be allowed to have a 3-story building. But where we don't have any 6-story buildings on the outskirts of town, now you can have 6-story buildings there because that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put them out there. Yeah, they're not where everybody sees them, where everybody...
Put them on the... just run them right on the Greenway.
I think we're the only community in the entire county that is building this. I think we rival Windsor for the amount of 6-story or 3+ story buildings or greater.
I don't know about that.
Come on.
Tecumseh's putting up a lot.
I
I mean, it's kind of Windsor, but
but
it is Tecumseh.
But that's where everybody wants to live because nobody wants to live in Windsor. Have you been downtown Windsor? Nobody wants to live there. That's where they're all moving to Tecumseh or LaSalle or wherever.
You can be driving along in an alley and all of a sudden you're in a hole.
What happened yesterday?
For those that don't know the story, so there was what was it, an infrastructure locker?
Yeah.
That was open, and a motorist, much like you see on the cartoons and, several different types of, like, wasn't there a scene in Men in Black where they fall in, like, the infrastructure locker is it's a big cavern where they house, like, water connections and electrical connections.
Phone.
Yeah. So, and it was open because there was maintenance going on and somebody drove right in.
There was no warnings
Listen, there could be warnings and everything. Nobody pays attention anymore.
What?
Nobody pays attention.
What'd you say?
There was no warnings.
Good on you.
What?
Yeah.
So yeah,
but landline service was out most of the day down there. I'm sure everyone noticed.
All three that are left. iPhone hasn't run from people wanting to give me duct cleaning. Amazon hasn't called me yet today.
So the future development of the future of the town of Kingsville is going to be decided at a meeting, council meeting. That follows, according to staff, very important discussions that they had at Committee of the Whole where those important decisions were made, which I thought was an interesting quote from that report.
I don't recall that. Really, they were referencing a report that didn't end up materializing, like the report that the committee received. And
what committee was that, Dave?
I don't know. You gotta make me say the Main Street Development Committee.
Yeah, you didn't think it was a good idea to build 6-story condos outside of the Main Street development area?
We didn't think that it was a good idea to build 6-story condos at all.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, well,
it's public knowledge, or it's publicly available. Just find it. I'm done. I'm tired of this.
Do you think there's any do you think there was some thought to having all of the potential 6-story buildings come forward before they put the limit on 6-story buildings?
Yeah,
that's probably coincidence.
That's speculative.
But
Kevin, that's speculation.
I did create a map though that if and maybe we'll post it.
Yeah, give it to Gary.
I'll give it to Gary. So maybe
it's a good map.
Maybe Gary at this point we'll magically bring the map up on the screen and we can show the difference between
like Vanna White.
Yeah, the difference between the area of development as it's being laid out in zones, where there's 3 zones. There's a downtown zone where they limit stories. Then there's the next set of area which is already has a number of 6-story buildings, but that's where we're going to limit the 6-story buildings and make it 3 stories instead. And then the outer area where they're now going to allow 6-story buildings on the outskirts of town on either side. But when you look at it, it's like, oh, well, that's kind of a large area until you stop and really look at the parcels, because most of them are already developed commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So when you actually start piecing out the areas that are already developed, like Freshco, like McDonald's, like Truax, like Taco Bell, like the Plaza, all these different areas that are already developed, then you start to see, oh, well, maybe there's only specific tracts of land now. So is this just for specific developments that they're doing it for?
Kevin, are you insinuating that maybe that it might be favoring things?
No, I don't think it is, but I do think I do think that there is a desire for the town to be able to appease developers when they come forward, that maybe it shouldn't just be about appeasing development. And the argument tends to be that we have to allow it because the province is going to force us, because we have to have all of these units. But as we've talked about on here previously, the majority, if not all, of the required development units that the province is asking for are already approved. Because there's 1,000 lot subdivision or unit subdivision ready at the edge of town with residential homes. There's another 200 lot. We have all of these 6 stories that still aren't even online. So now we're saying, okay, well, now let's continue to push large scale development on the outside. And again, we've talked about this before, but there's a neighboring town that did this 30 years ago that said, you know what, our downtown area is nice, but we don't want to have large apartment buildings in our downtown, so let's push them south of Hines. And now look what happened.
It's not just that. They did all economic development that way.
Right.
They pushed the economic center of the town out of the downtown core.
What do you think's happening?
Well,
right?
To be fair, they haven't approved any other commercial zoned areas in town. So, hey, there isn't one at all that's going to be forecast unless we're going to put it in Ruthven.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
There's an available real estate between that would be able to sustain commercial development. You're not going to put it the west side of town. Or are you, right? Between the Adams, Golden Acres, and
there's going to be 1,000
homes out that way.
Out there.
Is that where the new Zares is going to go, or Freshco, or whatever? Sobeys, Longos, whatever. We'll get one. Like, do we need 3 grocery stores in town if you've got another 4,000, 5,000 people on the west side?
Well, and you have Leah Maria's.
Leanne Marie's is a staple in town of Kingsville, Kevin. It's not going anywhere. Are you insinuating you're gonna make a West Side location?
Leah Maria's too.
Farm West.
Yeah. Look, this one concerns me, one, because part of the development is very close to my house. And which obviously I'm a little bit biased.
You're biased.
No, a little bit, very. And also is just bad planning. Like pushing your largest, highest density development to the outskirts of your town is the very definition of sprawl. That's exactly what sprawl is. And generally planning tries to limit sprawl because it's bad for planning. You don't want the majority of your residents living on the outskirts of town. And this decision on Monday sets up the future of how development will be laid out in this town.
Well, there were several local politicians that rode on that fact that they're going to strategize for the strength of the community for years to come.
Well, and let's look at it. Mayor Pat O'Neill will be remembered as the mayor who sold the waterfront for condos. Yeah. Mayor Nelson Santos, rightly or wrongly, will be remembered as the mistake by the lake mayor.
Or he served a long time.
But
you can pile a lot of stuff.
But what are you going to remember 20 years from now?
Selling a okay.
Oh, wow. I don't think majority of people will. I think it'll be the growth.
Mistake by the lake. Yeah, that was $4 million worth of stuff.
Right, and was the ELK money. Yeah. And this decision is going to lead to what this council is remembered for.
Yep.
And is this what they want? Do they want to be remembered for 6-story condo buildings getting close to Kratt side road?
I don't understand, and your point, whether it be speculation or just satire or joking about the accelerated need to implement all of these site plan approvals now. Why does it all have to be done now? Why do we need all these buildings now?
Yeah.
Like why don't we piecemeal this? We did the previous council put the hiatus on the development on that parcel of land to the west of the high school. So, there is the ability for everybody to just take a breath. Hey, let's just take a beat. We'll relax. We'll see what's happening. We'll figure things out. It doesn't seem that that's really.
Let's make sure that we have water for these buildings and power for these buildings and road capacity for these buildings and sewage capacity for these buildings before we worry about more buildings.
300 homes emptied a water tower in 5 hours or less.
Yep.
You putting a water tower up in your backyard or my backyard or
going off the grid. We're already partially there anyway.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, because we don't have power half the time.
Why did you say that one till the end, Steve?
Comment.
That was genius.
That's the comment of the podcast.
By the way, generators are on sale at Costco until the.
Oh, really? Because I need one.
Yeah, I bought one.
It's part of the Kingsville survival package.
$1,000. My children aren't going to go to university because I had to buy it. No, it was an expense that I didn't forecast having to do. But, hey, what's pollution from, 700, 2-stroke generators polluting in the night? Or we know about the light abatement bylaw that got passed where all the businesses have to turn off their lights. There's going to be a sound bylaw come out when all the generators get kicking when the power goes out.
I'm surprised they're worried about the lighting. Like,
you don't have power to run.
You have power to turn them on anyway.
If you're still with us after an hour into the show, thank you. Please drop us a note so we know you are live or you just didn't die and the video kept running. But no, we're still reaching out. We're still trying to get comment. We're still trying to get to the root of a lot of these issues. And it's not that we're the experts and it's not that we're the ones that have all the answers. But as a result of actions that happen in town, we're of the generation now where it's us. It's us and it's our kids that are impacted. And that's why we do what we do. At least that's why I do what I do, because
I'm
I
in it
just
for the
need something to
money.
do every second Wednesday.
I'm in it for the money.
Well, oh my gosh, Gary, thanks for your time. Gary's on holiday this week, and he just had to sit here and listen to us complain about stuff that we complain about all the time. Thanks, Gary.
Sorry, Gary.
Sorry, Gary.
Hey, at least the lights stayed on.
Oh, for once. Oh boy. Well, please like and subscribe. I think we got a 201. We gained a subscriber on the YouTube. We need that money.
His name's Bill. Thanks, Bill. We appreciate it.
We need that money to fund a generator for the studio so that we can keep recording this in case of power outage.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Generator X.
Generator X. Well, thanks everyone for paying attention, liking, and subscribing. This is only going to stem future episodes. But yeah, I think more sooner than later, we need to have more investigation about ELK and the grid after today's incident.
The random outage.
The random outage. But they were very forthcoming, and they let all us know that there was a power outage. But anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on That Kingsville Podcast.